Hey there, Internet friends. Trevor Starkey here with another episode of Movie Monday. I just got home from seeing Isle of Dogs, Wes Anderson's latest film. Stop-motion animation set in a shortly futuristic, like 20 years in the future, I think is what they say, Japan, where dog flu has kind of broken out, and one of the prefectures of Japan has basically said, we're quarantining all of the sick dogs on this place called Trash Island, and so all the dogs have been sent away there, and this little boy wants to go find his dog Spots there, and so he kind of, in doing so, comes across a pack of wild dogs that are living on Trash Island, and they try and help him find his pet Spots. So it's a a nice little kind of story there. You've got kind of the gruff character Chief, who is he's the stray, and he's kind of the alpha dog of this little pack. And basically, whenever the pack of dogs kind of votes for a decision they want to make, are we going to go here? Everybody vote aye. He's always the naysayer. He's always the one that votes against the pack. Elsewhere in that pack, you have Rex, King, Boss, and Duke, I think, are the five there. Chief there is played by Bryan Cranston. He's kind of our main protagonist dog. Rex is kind of the second in command / like alternate leader, voiced by Edward Norton, and then Bob Balaban, Bill Murray, and Jeff Goldblum voice the other three. So you've got like a star-studded cast in here. I'm not too familiar with Wes Anderson's line of work. I've seen like a handful of his films. Rushmore I've seen, Moonrise Kingdom I believe I've seen. And I feel like I've seen the Royal Tenenbaums, at least in like chunks. I feel like I watched it a lot when it was like on Comedy Central, and so I probably never sat down and watched the whole thing straight through, but I probably have seen all of that film. So this definitely kind of matches and continues on the Wes Anderson aesthetic, which was very much hammered home in a recent Honest Trailers video that I enjoyed from the guys over at Screen Junkies. I highly recommend going and catching that if you enjoy Wes Anderson films. They kind of point out, a lot of the kind of Wes Anderson isms that he kind of carries from film to film, and this very much continues through a lot of that, albeit in largely stop motion and featuring a story about a boy and some dogs. There's a lot of fun to be had here, though. The film is shot very beautifully, and those Wes Anderson isms that are kind of, his color palette and the way he frames a shot are all in full effect here. It's probably even more so because this is stop motion animation, so every single frame of the film is meticulously crafted. Where you've got, maybe some action in a very particular spot of the shot, but then you've got stuff happening in the background, or just kind of off center, or he does a lot of very symmetrical shots. It's kind of one of the things he's known for, and this continues with that. You have a lot of, if you've seen any of the trailers and stuff, you have a lot of like straight on looking directly at a face in the center of the shot. But yeah, I overall enjoyed it. There's some humor in there. It's a touching story about a boy trying to find his dog. I enjoyed the heart of a lot of these characters. A lot of them definitely kind of start off very stoic, and I feel like that's kind of another trait of these films. Nobody really shares their emotion, but here you do have kind of moments where the dogs end up kind of, I think, showing more emotion than the human characters, and part of that I think is maybe a commentary on the Japanese kind of just culture a little bit. I don't, be it right or stereotypical, I'm not going to judge that, but the dogs themselves, definitely we get to see kind of a little bit more emotion kind of from some of them that was nice and a little heartwarming and stuff. So overall, I enjoyed the film. Good performances kind of throughout. They definitely play with the idea that the Japanese characters are speaking Japanese, and sometimes they're interpreted and translated, and sometimes they're not, and you just kind of have to go with it. Didn't take away from my enjoyment or anything. I was still able to follow the story, even in those few moments where they weren't translating things for me. They do a good job telling the story visually, regardless. I probably could have seen the whole thing without English in there and would have been able to follow the story, just like the dogs can't communicate with the boy, but they're able to understand what's going on and what everybody's kind of objectives are. So really well told, very beautifully crafted and intricately shot and framed and all that stuff. And yeah, I had a good time. If you are a fan of the Wes Anderson films, I imagine you'll be a fan of this one. If you are not, then this is probably not for you. I mean, this definitely feels like a Wes Anderson film. So if that's your cup of tea, enjoy your cup of tea. If not, maybe go look for something else. I believe Rampage is coming out soon, or Blockers. That just came out this last weekend. So those are my thoughts on Isle of Dogs. Let me know what you thought about the film in the comments below. As always, I've been your host, Trevor Starkey from TrevorTrove.com. You can follow me at SnarkyStarkey on Twitter. And until next time, from here at the Trove, treasure your friends.